Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Yes, it is Sunday night. It is horrible, it is dark, it is wet. Welcome to autumn in the UK. Tonight we're going to talk about SpeedyBee and the new, well, I say new, but the newish SpeedyBee F Stack version 5. And I say F7 version 5, I think it is. No, it's not. It's an F405 version 5. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Oxbot and this OX32ESC firmware, because I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know what the hell this is. And why are SpeedyBee choosing to install this on the new F405 version 5 stack over the likes of AM32? We're going to talk about Betaflight briefly, because I have put a video out on that, and we're just going to talk about the new naming scheme. There is also, whilst talking about AM32, a big update this week. They've released some new features and stuff like that. And we're going to talk about a few other things along the line, including a drone that I've been sent to review. So we're just going to talk about that. And obviously, the more DJI leaks as well. So I hope you are all safe and well. Fairly quiet week in the FPV world. Something to highlight this week is Radiomaster have started to ship the TX15s, but also TX15 spare parts are now available as well on the Radiomaster website. So if we go on to Radiomaster, they now have the main parts and accessories available for the TX15. Ooh, no, I don't want to do that. I just want to move myself over a little bit. There we go. They do have main bits there. I need to order some switches and stuff from Radiomaster. I need to order some receivers. I am really low on Express ELRS receivers, as in I have no spare Crossfire Express ELRS receivers. So I need to order the Express ELRS receivers from Radiomaster, and I need to order some switches for my Boxer. Although I'm not using it now, I've damaged my Boxer again on the bench. Where is it? Shit. It fell off the bench a second time yesterday, and now that switch has completely broke off, and this one is jammed. So I need to order some switches for the Boxer. My fault, no one else's. It was purely bench testing madness. So yeah, I need to get some switches sorted on the Boxer. But look, it's good that Radiomaster have got pieces available now, not that button there, for the TX15. So if anyone wanted to get some spares for it, they are available. They even have that H7 daughter core board on its own. That's very cool. Look at that. That is very cool. But yeah, it's always good to see spares for the radio appear on the website. And they're all listed now as well. Front and rear case, really cheap. So if anyone wants to colour their own case, they are available now as well. Now, really, it's been an interesting week. There's been a few leaks this week. Online, more DJI stuff. I did see some people asking about if DJI was set to release a new FPV product. A couple of the KOLs started to hint about things. The truth is, what's being hinted about is this here. DJI, from the look of it, has shipped the Nano, out to some of the more FPV related channels. which is quite interesting. I'm intrigued about this camera. Pricing will be key, and image quality. I do worry about this one. The Insta has an external SD card slot. This is really going to need an external SD card slot, but also powering it is potentially a problem. We just don't know how this is going to work. You've got these connectors on the bottom. We suspect that there's no other way of powering it. This is an Achilles heel of these cameras, is power. And it's a bit of a shame that none of the manufacturers are taking this into account. Insta360 was exactly the same. They haven't added an easy way of powering these separately, whether it's USB or something like that. The spec to me still isn't clear on this. There's obviously a lot of talk about this. You've had leaked images appear this week. DJI even announced it themselves, which is quite funny. Let's hope it has better bitrate than the Osmo 5. Well, remember, the Action 5 now has the proper bitrate setting. They added high bitrate to the Action 5. Yeah, you're going to have to make something with pogo pins, that's for sure. Interesting, though. Again, though, there is more worrying signs on this. Apparently, it's going to be a 64 gig or 128 gig, and that, for me, is the deal breaker. Battery life is a problem, but this built-in memory thing, because the offload time is the problem. The offload time is an issue. Will the United States get it? Can you get the Osmo 360? Because there is no different. Yes, the Peanut did as well. Charges main cardial module to 80% in just 20 minutes. 64 gig is more than enough for a day's flight on these bit rates? Really? Don't get it's pretty good, but a day? Depends how much you're flying. Depends what you're setting the bit rate to. Well, I use 128 gig on your session 4. Yeah, but what's the bit rate on a session 4? Um, 4K. It's you're gonna have. You will soon get that footage up. I can't remember. DJ Action 5. What do we get on recording time? Recording file size. What are we getting on the Action 5? So high bitrate, but the camera supports a maximum bitrate 120 megs, approximately 0.9, so a gig of data a minute. So you're getting 64 minutes. Yes, it did release with 130, but they've added an increased bitrate on it now. So you're talking 120 megabits a second, a gig a minute. They're saying there. Yeah, the only downside to the offloading is I hope it was quicker than the Action 2. Because the Action 2 was so slow. So slow. It would have been better with an SD card, in my opinion. I do think that gives the Insta the legs. But let's wait and see on price, because the Insta is expensive. More expensive than I expected. That's why I had 3. Well, yes, there is that you can swap them out. And look, if it's cheap enough, having 2 is a very realistic option. You know, if it is cheap enough, that is a potential. I think people will have to... Let's see where they land on this from a performance perspective, because there's got to be a compromise on size and performance. Whether it will have the same capability as the Action 5, I don't know. Or the Action 4 even. You're into limited territory with a camera of this size. But it does look very, very interesting. That is for sure. Very, very interesting. Indeed. That pricing in EU is challenging. But let's hope. Well, it hasn't released on September the 10th then. Let's put it that way. But yeah, there's been a lot of talk about it. And obviously, alongside the talk of that, there's also a lot of talk around this, which is incredibly interesting as well, which is the Mini 5. There's a lot of confusion around this in how has DJI managed to get this below 250 grams, because they struggled on the Mini 4 Pro. The Mini 4 Pro's only under... The Mini 4 Pro is only under with the small battery. If we go to the spec list on the Mini 4, I do not know. Yeah, but they're going to have to strip the battery out again. So if we take out the weight of the standard battery, so where's the batteries? Battery, okay. So the standard battery weighs 77 grams, which is what got it below the 250. So 77.9 grams, which makes the aircraft roughly 180 grams in it. Just around 180. I get that exact, but yeah. I am intrigued at what they've done to get it down. One area they may have done, and this will be interesting. And whilst this is an FPV rated, it could be very interesting. I wonder if they've changed chipsets that has allowed them to remove some of the cooling inside. So, when you look at the DJI Action 5, not many people realise this, but one of the big changes on the Action 5 was DJI moved to using a Qualcomm chipset away from their own in-house silicon. DJI went back to using a third-party chipset, and we don't fully know the why, but I'm highly suspicious it was heat and power consumption. Highly suspicious it's heat and power consumption. And I'm wondering if they've done the same on this, which will allow them to maybe reduce some of the cooling needed. But let's see. I could be massively off base with that. I'm spitballing on what they might have done. We've got no teardown images yet. Watch this space. But the fact they've managed to keep this below 250 grams is incredibly interesting. Do I expect it to be available in the USA? No. I expect very little to change at the moment because DJI is not in control of what is happening in the US. Therefore, I don't expect anything major to change. You do have a number of things happening at the moment where air units is the thing right now. There is low stock of air units across Europe and the USA now. We don't fully understand why. I wouldn't sit here and think, oh, there's a new one coming, because there's no evidence of that. My suspicion is DJI have wound back production, is what my suspicion is based on the US market. And as a result of that, that is now having some constraints in other markets. That's potentially what is causing the problem. The reality is, if volumes are down, because look, US is a large part of DJI's market. It's not the entire market, but it is a very large part of the market. 20-25%. You're going to have to reduce production capacity. And if you reduce production capacity, that affects all markets and not just the US. So, look, we're going to have to see. DJI are definitely going to want to get these into the US, but it is what it is. Look, supply is difficult. Truth is, there is no good replacement for DJI in the US for anything. You know, there is no direct DJI comparable digital FPV. There's no direct DJI comparable camera drones. Yeah, it's... I don't know. The truth is, I just don't know. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. But look, we will be talking about that in the UK. That's for sure. Because look, we can't ignore products just because they're not coming out in one market. Hopefully, eventually, the US thing will sort itself out, or it's going to go completely crazy. That Golden Mavic still hasn't been delivered to Taco's hands yet. So there we go. So that's where we're at on that. Now, just to catch up on a couple of questions, because someone's brought up an interesting question, actually, before I move on. And this is a good point. A number of people have noticed that this Edge Smart Drive appeared to have removed their page for the T3 digital FPV system. Now, just to be clear, this has been removed from outside of China. However, the China page is still live. Looking on here, the Edge T3 is no longer listed. The dedicated page for it has completely vanished as well. However, it is still listed on the China site. So when you go onto that, we should have the option of selecting it if it ever comes on. But it does appear to have vanished from the Western market. So for instance, a pure Edge T3 is still listed. Now, I have reached out to them because they did send me a unit to review and asked what is going on, and they haven't replied. So I have no confirmed answers about what is going on. So you can still see it in China. However, you still can't see it in the UK, Europe, or the West. If you want my opinion on what might have happened, what I will say is that it is extremely challenging selling FPV products globally in China right now. Ignore the fact of the US market and DJI. The Chinese government is restricting the export of products out of China. There are rumors of many people being in jail in China around businesses. I'm not going to go into details, but I have had it across many different people. I've heard it in many different places that the Chinese government are heavily restricting the export of specific goods out of China, including drone components, going as far as to even lock up and jail some owners, some vendors of FPV equipment. We have the Holy Bro situation. You have the situation with a number of different brands, including T-Motor, others. And my only real thing I can think of in this is they may have had a knock on the door from the Chinese government and said, we don't want you selling this out into Europe. I don't know if that's true, but that's about the only thing. Skyzone, Diatone, there's loads. It's many companies. And that's probably my suspicion. What I'm a little confused about is if that has happened, why that hasn't happened to Cadex. Why are Cadex still able to ship out and not these, as an example? I don't know. It's complicated. It doesn't even make sense, really, what is going on in China right now. I'm shocked about it with Cadex, especially considering just how blatant they have been with some of their products that, let me be clear, absolutely have multiple use. So, for instance, some of these products I've talked about before, you know, products like the repeater. This absolutely has an interesting use case. I've reviewed it. I've talked about it. I made a video on it, which I demonstrated it works. But I think we all know the kind of use case this is probably for. And then if you go on to Cadex with analog systems, they are banging out night enhanced cameras left, right and center, including some thermal cameras as well. So it's a little bit interesting that they haven't been picked up on this, but that doesn't mean that they don't have a contract in the right place that allows them to continue, whereas this other company didn't. So truth is, we don't know. We don't know why the likes of Edge have stopped. It was an interesting system. As I said in my video, though, there was a bunch of the marketing information which was just complete BS. Nonsense, which wasn't true, or at least wasn't there yet. So, look, it definitely worked all right. It wasn't up there with Cadex. It wasn't up there with DJI or HD0. But it was, you know, it stepped all over OpenIPC, WF, BNG, or Ruby, in my opinion. It was far more like a traditional FPV system. So, I don't know. I can't answer that. Simple as that. Someone said about Radio Master, one of the reasons some of the radios haven't shipped into Europe has been the fact that that chipset was not compatible with European regulations, the LR1121. However, it now is, so things should start moving smoother. Why no updates on Cadex goggles? They've not released. What, yeah, is a bit disappointing is that firmware update they messed up. We haven't had that released again yet. They've just not pushed that out at all, which is quite sad. Because, hey, you released it, screwed it up, at least get a working version of it out there, please. Yet they haven't. So, my prediction is all of Cadex's work right now is going into this drone, into Ascent, whatever that is, in the end, when we see it. But again, Cadex released a firmware update for Avatar, had to withdraw it because it didn't work properly, and haven't now released the final version of that firmware that works. So, yeah, Cadex is doing what Cadex does. With regards to Cadex, there's no real news on Ascent any more than we've seen. We've now just got to wait for the drone to come out. There's been a lot of chatter around the leaks and stuff like that. They've got all the analog camera. Cadex haven't made standard analog cameras, but they have been making the infrared stuff. There's been a lot of talk around the Cadex leaks, whether it was intentional or not. It appears it's not, but they don't mind, so hey-ho. I am excited to see this. when it releases, this little drone. I don't really care about the drone. More about the FPV system. So we're looking forward to that when that happens. From DJI's perspective, obviously there's no updates for 03 or anything like that. We're now sort of in this waiting period with DJI because they're going to be coming out with this 360 drone as soon as they can. You're going to have the Mini 5, then this action camera, and then you're going to have probably whatever this 360 drone is. Here's an interesting question. How many people are really interested in drone audio? And what I mean by that is, got me thinking this week, with the release of DJI's new mic, this is smaller than ever, right? This new microphone system. And there's nothing stopping people flying with this. Have they not got it on their website? Mic 3, here you go. These are smaller than ever. Whilst you wouldn't have live audio, if you were looking at having recorded audio, popping one of these on the quads would probably be a good way of getting it. Live audio would be great, but if you wanted to record, yeah, Stealth, Elf, yes, absolutely, the FCC hacks all work absolutely fine. These are getting so small now, you could really just fly with one of these. But I'm just wondering how good one of these would be with live audio and headphones. I'm wondering how good it would be. Because the receiver... Let me just find it. So where's the receiver? The receiver should have headphones stroke... monitoring output. I'm intrigued. And the nice thing about this is that it supports 32-bit float, which means you shouldn't be able to clip at all. You should never clip with this audio. 300 to 400 meters, but that's for live audio. But for recording and adding to your footage later, it could still be a very, very good option. Because they can record directly on board. "32-bit float. Time for a range test. Can the magnet be removed? Yes. 32-bit float. It's never going to clip. So I'm intrigued at just how cheap can I get. What kind of audio? Prop noise? Well, it's people want audio. People have been crying out for audio forever. Single transmitter, 85 quid. But you need the base to be able to connect. The preamp will still clip. I don't know. A 32-bit float should. Audio for my RC car would be amazing. Yeah, look, I think it's just an intriguing option I was thinking about the other day. And I was like, I wonder. There are a lot of people who are interested in audio. It is interesting that DJI just won't add audio, or no one wants audio. The truth is, no one adds audio to it. You know, even Cadex haven't added audio. It's interesting, isn't it? No one's doing it. Right. The next thing I want to talk about is the SpeedyBee flight controller, and specifically this thing that's been announced forever, which is, I'm going to go on to SpeedyBee's website. And here's what's even more confusing about this. This stack isn't even at the top of their list, sorted by featured items. I don't know what's going on with SpeedyBee, but they have these big notices all over the front of their website saying the F405 version 4 series products has ended. Why? Why are they shouting this? This is like, we don't care. Bugger off. That's not important. We don't need to know about this. And then they're pushing this here. All of it's like, but further to this, they're not even promoting this stack properly. If you look around here, it's down here. The latest stack is hiding here. So the SpeedyBee F405 version 5 is their latest version of the F405, which I've ordered one, and it should be here this week. However, what's interesting about this stack isn't really the flight controller, because it's an F405. Okay. It's got the ICM 42688 gyro, PCB frame, diverse LEDs, optional smart voltage tester, and they go on to talk about the ESC, onboard flash chair, blah, 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 blah. But what's interesting about this is the ESC, because they are now shipping the ESC with OX32. They ain't shipping it with BL Heli test versions, AM32, Escape 32. No, they have chosen OX32. Now, my big question is, what the hell is OX32? We know it's by Oxbot. We know it exists. This is a company I spoke about briefly, where they created their own flight stack with their own ESC firmware. So we have their flight controller and ESC. But now, OX32 is appearing on third-party ESCs. Now, they go on to say OX32 is a 32-bit ESC firmware optimized specifically for racing drones, offering excellent motor control, precise response, intelligent tuning. Developed after the discontinuation of BL Heli 32, OX32 continues to refine motor control strategies based on the needs of racing pilots. Enhanced key features, they talk about utilizing DMA optimization, motor parameter presets, featuring intelligent soft start algorithms compatible with DShot 600, continuous optimization based on racer feedback is continually iterated to meet the demands of competitive racing. The question is, what the hell is this, and what really is behind this? Now, we know that there are multiple ESC firmwares out there that are closed. So you've got BL Heli 32 we know about. You've got what's being used on some of the FETEX. You've got what's on the KISS side of things. You've got a couple of others. But this really makes me wonder, because we don't know anything about this. Is this just a clone of BL Heli 32? Is it something entirely new? What you don't have here is an understanding of who is behind this. You know, if we look at, you know, the FETEC offerings, we know who is behind that. If we go to KISS Ultra, and I'm going to talk about KISS in a minute because there is a new version of the Ultra. Oh, bugger, I've gone to the wrong website. Store. There is a new version of the Ultra, which I will talk about in a minute. But when we're talking about, you know, ESCs, you've got the KISS Ultra, but you also then had, where are they listed? Can't see them. Are they out of stock? I'm not seeing the listing for I can't remember. There's an about page on Oxbot. We'll come back to a case in a minute. There is an about us, and it really doesn't say much. It doesn't say who. It doesn't say what. There's no. They don't sell the Voltara anymore. Sorry, I couldn't think of what it was called. The Voltara, yeah. You got the Voltara, which is another ESC, which was available. Look at the OC configurator reveals some of its orange. Where is the configurator? I can't say much because we got a manual. Your audio's 100%. And my mic gain low. I think my audio's fine my side as far as I'm aware. Unless anyone else can tell me if the audio is quiet. How is it? No, it's fine. I just don't know about this. You know, what is this? What is this? And what are the origins? There's very little info in this at all. I'm intrigued. Ah, right. Okay. Yeah. The noise cancellation. Let me. I have tweaked the audio levels slightly, so not that one. I probably want to go up a little bit on that one there. Hello? Hello, 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 hello. I tell you what it is, I have tweaked things slightly my side. So there you go. That should be a bit better now. I might need to tweak things slightly. I took it down because of some of the noise in winter, and I forgot that. But yeah, look. I don't know what this is about. I have no idea. I'm intrigued we have something new. And what I'm as intrigued about is why has SpeedyBee chosen this over AM32? What is it? You know, why has SpeedyBee chosen this? Is my question. Tom has mentioned rumours erases his OX was forced to stop production of the ESCs or distribution outside China, so that's another one gone. Not worth buying. Yeah, look, very, very weird. Very, very strange. I would love to know more. I would love to know who is behind this, because there is no names, there is no info, there is no one person putting their name to this. You know, even if it was just some guy in China said, I decided to do this. It's very, very interesting. Zanubul Technology Limited. I bet it's somehow tied to SpeedyBee. To hide thirst via obfuscation. Rotor Riot, yeah. Very strange. They have their marketing contacts and sales contacts. I have emailed them, and they haven't replied. What happens when you put it in HoverAir? Got the right HoverAir still. Look on nominate. There's no information at all, really. Yeah. Very little. Official sponsor of China Drone Leagues, by the way. Interesting. So, I don't know what to make of it. I don't know who it is. I don't know what it is. What I don't like is, you know, look, my advice is be wary. We know stability of BL Heli 32. We know the stability of AM32. We know about the others. This is an unknown. This is a completely unknown. So, look, I don't know what to say. I think Evan Turner did a video, didn't he? Someone mentioned it earlier, and I remember it coming out. I wonder who this Zanhu. So apparently there are links to this, but I don't know if this is. Oh yeah, there you go. So they filed a trademark. Interesting. They only own that trademark, by the look of it. Anything else we can find out on them? We'll find out now. They're SpeedyBee or something. Yeah, exactly. FPV do it with. I can't even say it. Yeah, you're right. When you say things like tested by pilots, then say who the hell they are. Let's have an understanding of who is behind this. Who is the people who has got this to where it is. So, yeah. Okay. Next, I want to quickly talk about AM32 whilst we're on the ESCs. That isn't AM32. That is. So, AM32 have pushed out version 2.19. This version includes new features such as active brake, low voltage cutoff by voltage or cell, adjustable ramp speed, 1 second to 1/50th of a second, 8 to 144 kilohertz PWM, 0 to 30 time in 1 degree increments, disabled stick-based calibration, PID controller for current limiting, mid-duty cycle selectable from 0 to 25%, EEPROM incremented to version 3, and fixed PWM frequency scaling. So this is the new version, and there's a new config tool as well available for it. They talk about it on the pre-release version as well, so they talk about that stuff there. there isn't links to any sort of pull requests or anything like that. It's a bit of a shame there's no link there to sort of go active break. Well, what is active break? If you get my meaning, I'm intrigued at what. It would be nice to just have the PR request, to be able to understand what that was. Perhaps is it in issues? Not seeing any. Oh, fast request, active break. Here we go. So this is for planes. Already reported on Discord, most useful on plane, having real active braking. Use on fixed wings. So I'm guessing is what I'm guessing that is for that. But yeah, it would be nice just to have bigger quads as well, probably bigger prop. Be nice to have just PR requests or something in that to click into and go read. Something to be able to just go and I click on that. So this is all what's been moved across. But I'm not seeing nice to see Tridge in here. I'm not seeing much info on exactly what this could be. Right, in a pull request. No. So yeah, look, that's about the only thing I would like to see is just if we go to releases, I'd just like to see links to what they are, just so we can have a dig into the feature. But other than that, it is out. It's great to see. Yeah, it's as simple as that. It really, really is. So if you're running AM32, the new version is out, you can update. It really is as simple as that. It's nice to see things keep moving forward. I'm just trying to see if there's any information. Yeah, it's definitely another step forward. Yeah, I'd just love to be able to click on it and see the pull request. I like to get in and have a look at the pull request and see what's been going on. You want to see, you know, what was that about? Why was that brought up? What is the reasoning behind that? That's what I'd like to see. So let's go back to that one. If you guys got any questions, put them in the chat now and I will try and answer them. Rio OX32, what percentage of drone hardware is going one-way flights? But then why not use AM32? OX32 appears to be closed-sourced. Why use closed-sourced when there's an open source available? What doesn't make sense is why you would choose a closed-source product. It may have something to do with the racing in China, if that stack is being used a lot in China. It could be just as simple as that's what they want for racing in China. Is there any HDMI adapter for walk-style avatar like DJI? Unfortunately not, no. Are Vistas factory waterproof? No, they're not conformally coated. But they do hold up quite well. Newbie Drone released a new video about a 1S18650 drone and a new 18650 battery. Interesting. While I'm thinking this, something I do want to talk about, well, HD Zeros, yeah. Something I do just want to mention is this. Now, for those who don't know what this is the new iFlight Nazgul version 3. Now, you may have noticed that my video on this didn't go live this week, and I'm going to explain why. This drone has now released. iFlight did send me this drone to review. However, I didn't receive any information from iFlight about when the actual release was or any of the technical details on the drone. Now, whilst I don't need technical details to do a review, I didn't know why or when it was coming out. And I emailed them and asked, hey, when is this set to release? And I didn't get a reply. So as such, I didn't have a video ready. And I actually have only now started making the video because the website now finally has the technical details that I wanted. So if you were wondering why I didn't have a video on this, that is why. There will be a review coming on this for those who haven't seen it before. There is a lot to like on this quad. This is fully transformable, fully convertible. So it comes in dead cat configuration, but you can convert it into X as well. DJI O4 up front, aluminium camera cage, silicon isolators around the camera as well on either side. Has GPS, Express ELRS built in, and the Express ELRS receiver on this is a 500 milliwatt telemetry one, I will add as well, which again, they don't tell you that in the description. You also have all of the usual LEDs, but there is some stuff that you probably don't know about this, and one of the big ones is the fact that this doesn't have the short saver built in. iFlight have not included the short saver in this, or what I mean the spark arrestor, sorry, not short saver. They haven't added that in this model. It's been removed. I think that's a good thing. There's also GPS. However, it is worth me adding that whilst this quad ships with GPS, iFlight do not configure the GPS from the factory, so you need to make sure you have configured the GPS before you fly the aircraft. Otherwise, return to home doesn't work. As standard, it is set to fall out of the sky. So if you're going to get one of these, make sure you configure the return to home GPS rescue settings. Otherwise, it won't work. Other than that, I have to... The anti-spark... Potentially, yes, but it's not the same thing, Tom. It's not the same built-in anti-spark. It still has the plastic sides. They have O4 up front now, which is very nice. And I have to say, this is probably the very best put together bind and fly available on the market today. It is exceedingly well built, this quad. I'm not going to call it a bando basher because I don't think it is. However, it is a very, very nice put together bit of kit. However, the Borgiers say built-in anti-spark. I think they've added in... They haven't added in the same design anti-spark. It's not quite the same. It's not the same FET. They're using a slightly different thing. I'm also, though, going to warn you of something. And let's get on to this, because, yeah, next generation. So, this quad is shipped with BL-Heli32. Now, it isn't a test version of BL-Heli32. It is 32.9. However, we know BL-Heli isn't selling anymore. And with all the noise that was at HD0, this is something that should be mentioned. Now, this is fitted with the Borg Mini. Oh, Moni, not Moni. Borg Mini. This is fitted with the Borg Mini stack, not the full Borg. So it's the Borg Mini 60 amp ESC, as well as the Borg Mini F7 flight controller, based on the STM F722. This ESC, built-in high polymer capacitors, eliminate the need for external capacitors. Integrated anti-spark circuit, although it's not FET driven in the same way that I can see. I wish they wouldn't use renders like this. Although, what bloody hell is that there? I have stripped it down, but I couldn't get to the ESC. This frame is almost fucking impossible. Okay, now I'm intrigued. I didn't think it was the same. That does look two big FETs. I'm going to have to dig into that further. The external cap. Yeah, they're using different caps. I can see the different caps. I knew about that. I didn't think they were doing it with FETs. When I first looked at this, I didn't pick up on those two there. And then these are bloody small. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why aren't there proper pictures of this thing? Can we get a proper picture of this anyway? It's all freaking renders. Ooh, hello. What we got here? Well, that's that side with the shunt resistor. Big caps. The FETs look very small on this, don't they? Not the best images. Bit more than we had, but really annoys me. Yeah, actually, it looks like they got FETs. I'm wrong. Wow, I got that wrong. Where's iFlight? Tell you what didn't help was when I was looking at this, I was looking at the stack, not the ESC on its own. Didn't help. They have sent me nothing on this at all. Trying to get back to the store. So have they got pictures on this? No, they've got no pictures on that one. So what about on the stack? So where is that marketing imagery that they've just shown? They just showed that marketing imagery. Really annoying. Really annoying, that. Okay, I need to have a look at that further. I didn't think it had the same anti-spark filter. I'm actually a bit disappointed that they've built that in now. Because I'd rather it wasn't there. I'll be honest. I'd rather it didn't have it. Yeah, look, it's a very nice quad, is what I can tell you. What I can tell you is that it is an incredibly nice quad. Anti-spark equals cleaner power, failure point. They are known to be failing on the older ones. Several people had them fail, including me. There's an Instagram post. Yeah, well, that's annoying is why it's there. Okay, I've got more digging. The video hasn't out anyway, so there isn't a separate anti-spark, is what there isn't. What's interesting, though, is it is a very nice quad. It is a very nice quad indeed. It's still the pinnacle, I think, of 5-inch quads for cinematic style flying. But I need to dig in a bit more on the flights and stuff. Yeah, simple as that. So, that's the iFlight. Next, I want to quickly talk about Betaflight. Now, I have put a video up about this today, and I have also created an image about this as well. So if I go to Google Drive, I've actually created an image talking about this today too, which is the fact that Betaflight is changing its versioning information. For those who don't know, Betaflight is moving now to a date-based versioning moving forward. So instead of it being version 4.5.3, 4.5, 4, 5, 6, 7, they're going to be now in December moving into versioning containing year, month, and then patch version. So for instance, the first version will be 2025 12.0. That will evolve then into 2025 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they're planning 2 major releases a year. Now, with December and June being the release months. And this will kick in from the end of this year. And all existing versions will retain their existing versioning number. On top of this, obviously, it's pretty much the end of the standalone configurator. The normal Betaflight configurator will not really get updates, and everything is now moving to the app-based configurator. If you don't know, it's app.betaflight.com. You can install this locally on your PC. You can open an app. It's using the web app-based system, so you can have an offline version. Don't worry, you can use it offline. But they are now migrating to this app-based version of the configurator. Pretty much all of the same. There's no great changes in this. Grab a USB cable and plug in. You now see it'll connect at the top. Sucks for Firefox users, but just install Chrome for this. If you're going to install an app, you can install Chrome. We've then got the app-based configurator, which is nice to see. Pretty much the same. Pretty much everything is the same. Slightly different view, but we can open it up in the app as well. And you can now see we've moved directly to the app. Which is quite cool. I think it's nice to see. It's a new way of distributing it. Haven't tried Wi-Fi. Don't know. It's all a bit cleaner and tidier. All of the usual functionality. Does it actually work does it actually work unplugged? Well, you can't have the flight controller unplugged, but it works offline. I haven't tried it on my phone. That's an interesting point. Yeah, I think there are, look, talking to one of the devs, there are things that they just couldn't do or didn't wanted to migrate. Yeah, there's a dark mode as well. It looks really good in dark mode. Too. But it's a change. People may like, people don't like. But it is a change that's happening. You've also got all of the other options in there as well. Yeah, with a phone, it could be a... Look, I can easily test phone because I have mine here. So if I go to app.betaflight.com. Haven't tried this, so let's do this. First ever attempt. Let's focus. Whoop, whoop. We will see. We have USB-C to USB-C. We're going to plug in. We're going to plug in. Go away. I don't want to do that. We're then going to say... Does it give me the option of selecting the COM port? Let's go to... Oh, no. Let's go to welcome. So, does it give me the option? It's not giving me the option of selecting the port. Let's try and unplug and plug back in. Choose an app. Go away. I don't want to choose an app. Let me just make sure I don't have any of those other apps open. Let me just do that again, just in case there was an app open, because I got loads of apps on my phone for various using. You might need an OTG. It's a good point. You might need an OTG. Have I got an OTG here? I'm not seeing one. Let's try an OTG. A to C now I gotta find. That's not as easy as it sounds. Where are all my A to C's? I got loads of C to C's. Now I gotta find A to C. A to C. Come on. Gotta be one here somewhere. Nope, not that one. And watch the sparks fly. Yeah. Why have all my A to C cables vanished? Where could they be? I got more C to C's than I know what to do with. It's A to C's these days I struggle with. Aha. Found one. It's never as easy as you think, is it? So, let's do that. Let's do that. So it knows it's connected. Tap for other USB options. Ah. So transferring files, Android Auto. It's not giving me any different options. Transfer files. Definitely doesn't want to connect. So it doesn't look. It's a COM port. Yeah, I know it's a COM port. But it's not giving us the options. Switch and roll between host device. Couldn't switch. Oh. Yeah, there is that. Go away. 3 dots desktop version. Good point. Desktop site. Let's do it on its side because it's a bit easier to see. Select your device. So it's not showing it under there. Shall we try C2C Direct? Let's see if C2C Direct will work first. It probably needs an OTG, but let's see. Because you never know. Go away. No, it's not finding the device. Yeah, it's not looking good, is it? We're definitely going to want OTG, that's for sure. Go away. Connect. I can't find my device. No compatible devices found. So you're probably still going to have to use the SpeedyBee app. Tap for other USB options. USD is controlled by this device, so we want it to control on this device, don't we? So let's just try that. Chrome. Let's just go away. Let's just see, did it change or did it stay? No, it wants to be on to that. Computer says no. On iPhone. Switch. There you go. You can't choose the type. Yeah, so look, it was worth a try. I might have a play with it further. Can't find my device. I can't find my device. Yeah, there's no other options there. It's not Control Alt Delete. Yeah, I might have to have a play with this and figure it out. Chrome needs permission to scan for nearby devices. There you go. So that's Bluetooth. No compatible devices found. So yeah, look, it could be anything. It might need be permissions. It's a bug in some FCs. Please contact your administrator. So, yeah, look. So the web app is there on your PC. It'll be great if we could get this on the way. It'll be great if we could get this on the phones, but it isn't there yet. Simple as that. I don't even know, does Web Zero work on Android? No. You declined the COM port access on first crash. You just need to go into the settings and enable it. Does it work on a Chromebook? I don't know. It should. There's no reason it shouldn't. More power. Someone said, look at the Oddity F405 stack. Another very cheap stack, an ESC. Running AM32. Looks very cheap. Simple as that. Right. I've lost myself. Right. There is a new Kiss Ultra. There is a new version 3 hitting the market. This new version 3 carries over all of the fantastic stuff on the version 2. We now get USB-C. Yes, hell has frozen over and it has a USB-C port. Gone is the micro USB. We've got a proper USB port on this now. Really great to see. Just moving with the times. Port's almost as big as the flight controller. But you can see that they have, managed to cram on a USB-C port on there, which I'm guessing probably took some doing considering the space a C port takes up. If you look at it compared to the A port, it would have taken up quite a bit of space. That's for sure. Now it has the BMP 390 gyro. Barometer, not gyro. I said gyro, thinking barometer. It now has the BMP 390 barometer. It has some changes on the backs as well. And USB-C. So it contains everything that's good. And yeah, pretty much as simple as that. Not a lot good or bad to say other than the Kiss Ultra is a very, very good controller. I like Ultra. I really do like Ultra. Ultra flies incredibly well. Very nice to see. The slimline USB-C as well, by the look of it. Probably taken quite a redesign to get that on board. Yeah, look, Ultra flies very, very well. Very, very well indeed. I really do like Ultra. I'll be honest, I could fly Ultra for the rest of my life if I didn't want to touch Betaflight again. The Ultra is... I like how Ultra behaves and feels. It flies very, very well. Betaflight is very good now as well, but if you said to me you can only have one thing again, I'd just say give me Ultra. Oh, someone has... Yeah, it's a good bit of kit. Right, guys, if you've got any questions, now's the time to put them in the chat. The last thing I want to talk about from my side is obviously I'm going to be making a review of the Nazgul. There's going to be a couple of videos this week. I've got an initial overview of the X5 from Insta coming as well. But these guys reached out to me a couple of weeks ago and asked if I'd be interested in taking a look, and I was intrigued. And that is this, the HoverAir. So for those who haven't seen this, I'm actually quite impressed with how sort of small and portable this is. It's tiny. And when you compare this to the DJI, if you've seen the Flip, this is much more reasonable than the Flip. Now, this is a camera drone. It's not an FPV drone. It's a camera drone. It has some follow functions. It's the HoverAir X1 Pro Max. It's got a battery that sits in the top there. The plastic that they've used on the ducts is incredible. They actually give you a sample of this, right? They give you a sample of this plastic in the box, and it's basically unbreakable. Let me just show you this. This is crazy. And I mean, genuinely, this is crazy. Just to show you this, right? So here's the plastic for the ducts. And they say to you, they give you a sample of this just to show you how strong it is, and you can stretch it. Just to give you an idea, right? I'm going to... Honestly, it's unbreakable. This is awesome. We've got to start making FPV drones from this stuff. Why are FPV quad ducts not made of this on mini whoops? Yeah, it's not quite 95A. Honestly. Well, you say it's not rigid, right? But that's what this is made from. It is rigid. It's quite cool. I'm really impressed with this. But look, it's a camera drone. It's got VPS. It's got an 8K camera on the front. It's got rear avoidance. Yeah, quite interesting indeed. So I'm going to be reviewing this as a camera drone. It depends the model you choose. I can't remember what the pricing is. It's like $500, $600, $700. Yeah, 100%. Happy model need that for it. Yeah, we need this in some mini quad frames. We really do. But yeah, quite interesting design. Folds out like that. It's designed to track you. It's a cross between a DJI Neo and that and Avata 2. Yeah, quite an interesting little beast. 2S, just under 2,000 milliamp hour batteries. Motors are mounted then onto the ducts, and they just sort of folds up into that size there. And then it folds out. It's much smaller than the Flip. It almost feels like this is what the Flip should have been. Yeah, they're not new. This has been out for quite some time. It's not a new quad to the market. It's a new company that reached out to me, but they have been out for quite some time. You know, I'm still learning about them. Flight time, I think they said, is about 15 minutes officially, but I haven't tried it myself yet. The weather hasn't allowed. Controller's interesting. So, this drone is Wi-Fi. Okay? So it's designed for you to control it from your smartphone. But they also have this beacon, right? Let me see. I'm trying to find the case for it. Here it is. So So they also have this beacon device, okay? So it's still Wi-Fi. It's always Wi-Fi. But this beacon actually has a screen on it, and you can view the video and control the drone, I believe, from this screen. It's Wi-Fi 6. But this then can turn into a remote controller, because this clips onto there like that. This clips onto there like that. These then rotate like that. You then push the sticks on and it turns into a remote controller that holds your smartphone. Some quite ingenious little things on this. Yeah, if you have the dongle with you. Yeah, look, it's got some interesting little features. Look, I'm not expecting this to behave like, you know, a Mini 5 or anything like that. But it does show you what else could be done. DJI very much went the safe route with the Neo. And I think they could have done more like this. Genuinely, I think this has some really interesting quirks and features and options. And I think the Neo could have been a lot more like this. I've been watching a few reviews on this myself, and I don't usually do that before I review a product. But I wanted to have an understanding a bit more. And it appears to crash a lot because it's a tracker. It appears to... It's not perfect, but as a sort of follow-me drone, and that's what this really is aimed at, and like a personal drone you can toss in your pocket, I think they might have outdone DJI. I think the flip should have been this, more like this. The flip is, if anyone's seen the flip versus HoverAir, it is massive. When you put the two side by side, there's an image. Gotta be an image. Yeah, there you go. If you look at that, that is on, it is shockingly bigger.
Right, so with the all-new DJI Flip.
There you go. Flight path puts them next to each other. When you look at them there, the flip is enormous in comparison. It's a weird drone, the flip, as well. I saw the flip. Longer flight time, maybe, but at this point, the flip feels odd. You know, when you put them, where is it? He puts them side by side. It's a big difference. A big. Is it me, or does this not look like a thing from Star Wars? An AT. This so much looks like this. Yeah, apparently it's got 8K at 8080. Yeah. Look, they're different products, but I do wonder why DJI went with this. Much bigger difference. And obviously one will have different stability to the other. Look, let's be realistic here. Oh, that, you know, that's... You could see the difference. Are you happy to see me? Or do you have a flip in your pocket? No, look, 8K is it's in theory 8K. DJ had to figure it without infringement. So, yeah, so look, at the moment, I'm waiting on the weather. I can't do much till the weather changes. The weather's just been horrific. But that's it. So, look, that's pretty much it for tonight's stream. If there's any final questions, we'll have 5 minutes of questions before we wrap this one up. I had to buy 3 Vista E units trying to bind them to DJI V2 goggles. I bet they were all fine. Did you make sure you had the right version of firmware? Remember, the Vista will only work with DJI firmware version 01.01.06.08 or earlier. It will not work with firmware version 01.01. 01.02, is it? Actually, wait there. No, I think it works with 01.00.0608 and doesn't work with 01.01.0000. That's the right way around. Off the top of my head. How can I use 5-inch motors on a 3-inch frame? Adapters. Kevin, make sure you check the firmware version. Needs to be not the latest firmware for the V2s. How long, guys? Here's a hint. How long before we think DJI release their 360 drone? Do we think it'll come out before Christmas? When does the Osmo Nano release? Apparently the 10th of September. Apparently the 10th of September. But we don't know. There's been some good images of that DJI drone. This does look interesting. For those who hadn't seen this, this is the leaked image of the DJI 360 drone. They've definitely got front-facing cameras. Looks like there's visual up and down in the middle. Looks to be a cross between a Neo and a Avata 2. To me. I think it's going to have some size to it to get the 360 lenses on. If you look at the Osmo, everything has fallen out of my camera bag, and I don't know why. But if you look at the 360, that's not the 360. If you look at the 360, you're going to have to get this whole area in. And I think that's a bit much for a Neo, if I'm honest. I think that's going to have to go into more of an Avata 2 style size drone. If we grab an Avata 2, I think if you look at this, that fits just nicely there. From not the camera, but from that lens perspective, that goes quite nicely into that sort of area there. And then slightly different design and crops on the front. I think that's what they're going to end up doing, if I'm honest. But it's an interesting design. It definitely looks like a UFO. We believe it'll come with a 360. There is no evidence of any new goggles coming from DJI, so the chances are, if they do this, it's going to be using Goggles 3 or Goggles N3. That's what we don't... There is zero hints of a new goggle from DJI. None at all. So I think if it's going to come, it'll come and there'll be upgrades for the Goggles 3 and N3. And let's be honest, that's how DJI will be able to get this out quickly. They already have they know how to make aircraft. This is a walk in a park, other than the live system. OcuSync 4. How they will stream that, I don't know. Are they going to stream a wider field of view and then have a more focused area? It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. By the way, does the new Mavic Pro use Goggles 3 already? Saw some clicks before release. We don't know. We don't know. I don't know for sure. There is already head tracking in Goggles 3, so why need to make new goggles design mess dedicated? Yeah, no, look, I think it's how much horsepower they're going to need on the goggles. We don't know. The Goggles 3 and N3 are all based off the Eagle 3T chipset. I don't think DJI is massively leveraging what it's capable of today, so there's definitely horsepower available. What we don't know is how much more horsepower is going to be needed at the goggles side to deal with this 360. We don't even know how it really looks on the Instadrone. We've had people talk, they've told us, but they haven't really explained fully of what it's like. I believe there is a wide field of view with the 360 around you in a big field of view with a window in the middle of the front view, always in front of the aircraft. So when you're looking through the goggles, that area there, I'm looking through now, I'm always looking forward at the way that the drone is facing. And then around it, so they're looking around that window, you have a wider field of view based on the orientation of the aircraft. And then as you move around, that field of view in the middle stays looking forward. But as you move around like that, you then get the more 360, you get the 360 imagery. Venskis, I'd like to buy a 3D printer. I'm choosing between the Bamboo Lab P1S and the A1. Mainly, right, what I would say is this. If you can stretch to the P1S, try to do it. If you can stretch financially wise. If you can't, then go to the A1. The A1 is a fantastic printer, but if your budget allows, go to the P1S. Only because it's enclosed and it gives you a few other options. If you don't need the bed size, though, even consider the A1 Mini. The A1 Mini is phenomenal. I was already getting there. The A1 Mini is phenomenal. The advantage to the P1S is that you can do ABS because it's enclosed. That gives you some options. I also now prefer enclosed 3D printers from a dust perspective and everything. I'll be honest, I'm over open 3D printers. Completely. I love the A1 Mini, but I like an enclosed 3D printer, if I'm honest. I just like an enclosed 3D printer. For many reasons. Yeah, I have seen DJI's Manifold 3. It's basically an NVIDIA. I can't remember which one it is. It's basically an NVIDIA thing. They're repackaging one of the NVIDIA boards. I can't remember which one it is. Are they capable of levitation now? A1 Mini, if you're shorter size as well, you can get an A1 Mini almost anywhere. I have watched the reviews on the Snapmaker. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm struggling here. Everything I have seen about this U1 looks very interesting. Even all the reviews from the solid channels I trust look solid. If you go to YouTube, Thing posted their review a couple of weeks ago. Where is it? Aurora Tech. And honestly, I am somewhat blown away with what I've seen. I just can't quite believe it's as good as they're showing. As reliable as... If this delivers, it's going to be an unbelievable steal. An unbelievable steal. And please do consider checking out the Aurora Tech video. They walk you through the setup process and the review. If this thing does, in the long term, I think it's a game changer. Honestly, I genuinely think it is. The only thing I'm suspicious about is Snapmaker's software has been completely junk in the past. Bamboo is still completely closed, yes, and they've closed down their interface, yeah. But for the money, I don't quite know how Snapmaker have done this and outdone Prusa where Prusa should have done this. Honestly, it's worth a watch of the video if you haven't seen it, and the prints look decent. The fact that you could have 4 colors of TPU is very, very interesting to me. So far, it looks very, very good. Right. Last thing, I just want to say, Gamma Gnad, thank you for the $5 $4.99 super chat. I really appreciate it. Just because I haven't contributed in a long while. Thank you for that. Shit's been ruined in the US. Thanks for everything you do. Thank you, my friend. I really appreciate that. That's fantastic. Right, guys. I'm going to say one last thing. If you like what we do here, please do consider checking out Patreon as well as Buy Me a Coffee. And I don't usually push this on the live streams. However, it isn't just big channels like Linus Tech Tips who is suffering a drop in views. This change of whatever YouTube has done is beginning to I'm even noticing it as well. I'm not quite seeing the same as those channels in the sense of, look, number one, there isn't a lot of good content right now. Number two, yeah, I've seen the Spiffing Brit video. I've seen a few of it. I don't think anyone's got the answer yet. No one has fully figured this out yet. We're still in a bit of limbo. It's not clear. Nothing is 100% clear. But with the lack of good product releases, it's been a tougher year on the channel. There's no question about that. My time has made it difficult to make content. I still need to finish a bunch of videos. It's AI. Yeah, look, there's a very real chance as well. YouTube are now kicking out a lot of the views that were from browsers with ad blockers and things like that. I think there's a bit of everything coming into the mix. But look, if you want to support the channel, please do consider checking out the link to my Patreon as well as Buy Me a Coffee. There's a couple of videos coming up. It has been a bit slow. This HoverAir is going to come. There is an Insta360 video coming, and I'm just going to ask you guys a favor. Please have a look at it. There's nothing magical in this, but I'm just starting to work with Insta. You're going to get the first video is an overview. You're getting my genuine thoughts. No brand lies. I don't lie for any brand. But I could do with some reasonable views on that video simply because it's the first time I've worked with Insta. I'd like to try and work with Insta again to try and get my hands on this thing at the end of the year. I really like the X5. That's a slightly better camera that has 10 times better software. It's really that simple. If you're comparing the Insta versus DJI, it's really this simple. The Osmo 360 is a really great little camera. This is a great camera, not quite as good as the Osmo 360. However, their software is light years ahead of DJI. Also, though, what I have to say is great about the Osmo 360 is it uses the same batteries as the Action 5, same batteries as the Action 4, and it fully supports the DJI mic system. If you're in the DJI ecosystem, honestly, if you're in the DJI ecosystem, but if you're not in the DJI ecosystem, probably get that. I also prefer this form factor. And it's not as heavy. Maybe. However, that comes with a rubber cover. That doesn't. They're both very good. Genuinely. I've started to really like 360 cameras. And I mean, I really like 360 cameras. I also have a video on why people get confused over 360 cameras coming in that I keep forgetting to post. But anyway. Right. Look after yourselves. Stay safe. We'll be back again. Same time, same place next week. And I will speak to you soon.